to start off by going over some of an outline, I guess, of the stuff we covered last week, or last time, I should say. And I thought we had some good, good input, good feedback, and ideas of, how we can, improve things on the lake this year. And one of the things I got was, increased enforcement. That came out a lot. I think all the law enforcement agencies said the same thing, that they want to start out right off the bat in the beginning of the season and just kind of keep things tamped down, so people understand that they're out there, serious, and that, there's going to be a presence on Lake Quinsigamond. Also, that we're going to get some more resources on Lake Quinsigamond, especially on the Flint Pond side with the small boat from Worcester. That'll be slipped at Point Rock. That's awesome. Shrewsbury has a jet ski, so that'll be good and very helpful over there, especially. And I think also on the big lake, I think the jet ski on the main lake in Lake Quinsigamond is also going to be beneficial. And of course, the MEPs already have a jet ski. And I can tell you that when they're over there, they seem to be fairly busy with the thing, because I've seen them, with people stopped and things seem to calm down. That's one of the comments I thought was interesting last time when Sergeant Garman was talking about when all the agencies were on the lake. It seemed to be much calmer and much less shenanigans going on, because people saw all the law enforcement agencies around, so they were behaving a little bit better. So I think that's something that we can also pick up on. I hear Mike and my Ring doorbell here coming in, so hopefully he's ringing the doorbell. So hold on, I'll be right back. Smoke them if you got them. Sorry about that. All right. So I think increased communications between the agencies, it will be beneficial for us all and help us move things forward, especially when it comes to enforcing any type of individual or surgical bans we would have to do with with individuals that just keep disobeying the rules. Also, the vessel safety checks, I think they're really important to do. That also falls under what Sergeant Garman was talking about, in enforcement on the ramps. We had good enforcement at Corazini, and I know that the year before last, we had an officer also down at Flint Pond more regularly than we did this year. I think having an officer at Flint Pond as well as Corazini would be helpful. And the enforcement noise ordinance, which wasn't something that the original charter for this particular subcommittee was going to address, but I think it's an important issue, and it is something that everybody gets a lot of calls about. And anyone who's experienced this, those systems that they have, those PA systems, are definitely professional grade, and they can light up the lake. If they're sitting in front of Twin and Blake Island with the music blaring, I can hear them on Flint Pond like they were next door. So it's something. So and they're running it. That is covered in the Lake Quinsigamond rules, because these people are out there 11 to 2 o'clock in the morning running these stereo systems. So that's something that is in the rules. You can't have anything amplified after 8 p.m. in between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. So that'll be helpful. And I do want to update the LQC rules about noise and bring it more in line with with the noise. I forgot the term again that the chief used last time. Amplified noise code. So I'd like to bring it more in line with that. So both, you know, regular enforcement and the LQC rules will be the same. So does that cover it, or did I miss anything from last week? Everybody's good? All right. Does anyone have any questions or comments based on what we discussed last week that they want to drill down on? Nobody. All right. Okay. So the one question I have, or one of the questions I have, is from a resource standpoint, and this goes to you know, to the chief and Captain Amati and Sergeant Garman. You know, where are we in terms of allocation for staff? I know that we have staff. You know, we have 2 vessels in Shrewsbury that can be staffed. We're gonna have 2 vessels from Worcester that can be staffed.
How many jet skis are we gonna have available? 1 or 2?
So so I guess that's the question. Whoever can answer that.
On the MEP side, when needed, we can get 2, possibly 4 there if it's a large scale operation.
Okay, I'm talking like more like, you know, day-to-day regular stuff. And I know Scott, you know, MEPs have there's a big region. You got a lot of places mouths to feed out there. But just from my concern is we go out there, you know, once a month and tamp it down, and then it just all kind of comes back and seeks its own level and it's crazy again, and then we go back. And so I'm just wondering what the fluctuation, and I know that some of that's going to be unavoidable, but just trying to figure it out. So when you say, you know, 2 to 4, that's not like every weekend though.
Yeah. Nope. And now again, if I have the bodies and the folks that are trained on these machines, they're happy to ride them.
Yeah.
It happens to be one of the more fun parts of the job, so I don't usually have a problem with that. As long as the machines are working and I have the bodies to do that, we can get that done. So best case scenario, let's say probably every other week, every other weekend, I could probably get them down there.
All right. Fair enough. Chief, any feeling for what, you know, how we're going to staff?
Talking about Kevin Esposito.
I believe Major stepped out, but so we have 3 in Shrewsbury that are trained on the jet ski. Primarily, we would use it on the weekends. More day-to-day would be the boat only. But then we try and get an arrangement with Worcester and Environmental to try and get a task force kind of going too. Okay.
So do you think that's realistic when Sergeant Garman was talking about last week, that, you know, instead of just doing it, you know, once or twice, you do it 4 or 5 times?
Oh, definitely. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
On our part, we're planning on doing that. I have trying to put together a meeting for mid-March for the QRA to get ready for all of that, and that will be one of the things we discuss afterwards.
Okay. Is that the safety meeting that they do? The beginning of a season safety meeting?
Yes, sir.
For QRA?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And is Sergeant Garman on?
Yep, I'm on.
Oh, so what do you think, Jason, from a staffing standpoint? You're gonna have a boat over in Flint Pond. That's nice.
So the Flint Pond boat will be stationed at Point Rock. I don't believe the fire department has a boat. I would have to check. If they don't have a boat, it's going to be back in that boathouse. If not, we're gonna have to find a place to dock it or lug it back and forth, which we really don't want to do.
The new boat or the old boat?
the new boat.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I have one officer that is strictly assigned to the boat from May until we pull the boat out of the water, and then I pair him up with one of the 13 guys that are qualified to be on the boat. So one guy is we've been on the boat 3 to 5 days a week. The minimum three days a week, maximum 5 days a week be on the boat.
Yeah. Do you guys run one person in the boat or two?
No, we run two.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And I rotate different officers through it because we're also responsible for my unit's also responsible for dirt bikes in the city, and that unfortunately takes up a lot of manpower. With my unit, takes up 2 to 4 guys.
Right. Yeah, that's well, it's basically jet skis on land.
Pretty much.
Okay. That makes sense. So, Scott Gorey, you have any comments or observations from last time or something new that popped up in your?
No, just a question. Now, I'd like to see a schedule, if that's possible, between, Worcester, Shrewsbury, and environmental. Can you guys communicate? I guess that's my question. So if somebody's on Flint and the Worcester police boat can't, catch up to them and they're heading to the main lake, is there a way to communicate to, whoever might be policing the main lake that day? You guys have that ability?
I think Jason Garman, you had commented on that because you can now go on a separate channel.
We go on. It's LPS 8. We could probably use. We could probably scan LPS 8 on our radios if need be. Is that correct, Captain Amati?
That is correct. As long as everybody knows to scan it and keep an eye on it, you can always go over LPS 8. That's standard for this area.
Okay.
So Peter Collins, I don't mean to interrupt. I was having technical difficulties.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I'm back on.
We were just kind of reviewing from last month, last time, and we were. I know I keep saying last month, and but basically the question was there anything that has come to mind since we had our last meeting. And the other question was, we were talking about resources and being able to staff the boats and whatnot this year, and maybe adding an officer. And I know before, I forgot the statute that the special police now have to go through all this training all the time. So you kind of lost some people because of that. But I know that they had an officer down at the Flint Pond boat ramp as well that was checking, kind of doing the same things that Tim was doing at Corazini. So is there? So I'm just kind of trying to get a feel for what we have for resources, especially at in the Flint Pond, the Oak Island side.
Well, this is Matt Early from Worcester. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chief.
No, yeah, that's fine. I was just going to say that we staff the boat with 2. And we got the jet ski this year as well. So what we do is we really can't give you a schedule right now about the officers that are out there. But what we do is each Monday, the officer that oversees the lake, they look at the weather. They look at and kind of look, 7 to 10 days out to see, how staffing's going to be. So we base it on that. Our goal is to have 2 officers every day, 7 days a week. But obviously, if it's going to rain and it's going to be real bad weather, we'd rather utilize those officers on the road.
Sure, of course. But that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about land-based? Say at Flint.
Yeah, that's Officer Shawin will be handling that.
Okay, so he'll be going back and forth between, or does he have a crew, or does he just go back and forth between the 2 places himself?
He goes back and forth on his evening shift.
Okay.
But
right.
because the Corazini boat ramp, there's so many people there, sometimes he gets tied up there for the first couple hours.
Sure. Yep. Again, that has been incredibly beneficial. So that's kind of why I'm interested in expanding that a little bit. And so Scott Gorey, I think what you would when you were talking about communications, you basically meant communications between the different agencies.
Yeah,
versus-
definitely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it'd be nice to know, especially early on, who's out there for the first, say, month, what the plan is, if we can come up with a task force and who's going to be out there, what jet skis are going to be out there, what boats, for the first month or so. And then we'll see what we need from there. Okay. This is to all the law enforcement agencies. We have a local cable TV station here in Shrewsbury, and I'm wondering, what would your thoughts be on if we were to have kind of I don't know, the showcase, but a show about law enforcement and between the different agencies and what we do, and the effectiveness of in a way, I think one of the comments I hear all the time is that nothing's getting done, no one's doing anything, there's no police, there's no presence. And I look at the numbers of what you do, and I'm talking to you on a regular basis, and it's like, that's not what they are doing stuff, and we are stopping people from even getting on the lake, and look what's happened at Browning Beach, for example. So I think that people don't know about it, just don't realize it. And I'm not saying do a full publicity campaign and go out there and do propaganda. I'm just saying, like, maybe a realistic thing that all the efforts you guys are taking.
Peter, just for we do something on. In fact, I just put the annual report together, and there's a piece in there about the lake. I also do it on a Facebook post as well at the end of every season.
Yeah, no, and that's good. I've seen them, but I'm talking about doing one of all the kind of like an interagency total law enforcement thing. And I don't want to be corny on this, but it's everyone. Shrewsbury, Worcester, MEP, state police. They all have their own agencies, their own kind of cultures and rules and all that stuff. It'd be if I had my dream of law enforcement, or where I think it would work best, is that when you get on the lake, you're basically all kind of lake patrol, and you're working together, and I think that would be as Sergeant Garman had pointed out, it actually helped. People started slowing down and behaving a little bit more, because I don't think they looked at you just as environmental as Shrewsbury or Worcester or state. They looked at you as, as the lake guys are out, so I guess we got to be good. So I don't know if that's but that's what I was thinking about. Maybe doing a little feature on the nothing expose-ish, just kind of a here's what's going on, but it's something to consider. I don't think you get enough credit, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey, Peter, it's
Yeah.
Steven. Hey,
Yes, sir.
good evening. I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to ask, would it be possible, like, I know what you're getting at, for everybody to hear about what's going on. That's true, because all we see on the ridiculous Facebook page for the lake is, no one's doing anything, they're all, but could maybe all the law enforcements every, weekly at the end of a weekend, could they all send everything to the chief, and then, like, he posts something weekly that we then could post up on the lake and wherever else, just so that everyone can actually see what has been happening, so then they'll actually believe it?
That would be up to those guys if they could pull that off. I don't want to throw a lot of paperwork and burden or extra stuff on them, because I'd rather they focused on being just doing the law enforcement stuff on the lake. That said, it would be nice to have that kind of report, or some kind of summary, I should say. I shouldn't report, but some kind of summary at the LQC meetings every month. So basically it'd be per month rather than every week.
Even that's good. Then we could post that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, we could post it on the Facebook page, and like the chief said, they have a post.
Oh, I see it. Yeah,
They
it's
have
great.
They have a post on the Shrewsbury page, on the Shrewsbury PD page. I don't know how many people go on that.
And
Yeah.
Peter, just a comment here. That's pretty much what I do for work. You know, if you want to take the paperwork off these guys, give me the raw data. I'll put together the metrics where we can present it monthly, you know, showing who are the violators, you know, where are they, what are the violations, what times, you know, different locations, things like that. We can break it down.
Yeah, within what we can say in public. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And you know, it's kind of funny at the end of the meeting and those of you who go to the meetings every month, you know, we have the not the environmental police, but the environmental you know, folks from Worcester Lakes and Ponds and all that, giving us this detailed report on, you know, the life expectancy of the, you know, narrow leaf pondweed. And it's really helpful. Some people kind of like, you know, start glazing over when they get into specifics about it, but it's still a, you know, it's still a helpful thing. So if we could do that in law enforcement, I think would be helpful for everybody. And again, it would, you know, send a message that things are being done. I think that's going to accomplish two things. One, people will understand that and they'll kind of let up a little bit as far as complaining about everything. And two, I think that, you know, when people understand that there is enforcement out there, that they're going to realize there's enforcement out there, and they shouldn't be, you know, it's not just the wild, wild west. So,
You know, and a part of life and living is that if you go to a big event, there's always unfortunately going to be a heckler or two in the crowd, and basically people on you know, the internet is similar to that. You know what I mean? They're just shouting out because they want to shout out, and may not necessarily be true, but if that's what people listen to, they think, oh, that's the gospel truth. No, it's just someone shouting out in the crowd, you know?
yeah. So, yeah, it's all good. And, you know, like I said, and I guess, is there anything that the Lake Commission can do to help you folks out? You know, whether it be amend the rules or you know, we're you know, we're here to kind of,
Well,
I'm trying to say this the right way. Is that, you know, one of our charges as a Lake Commission is to make sure that the lake is safe, and you know, you're probably the biggest part of that. I mean, 99% of that's going to be falling on law enforcement to accomplish that. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything as the Lake Commission that we can possibly do to help you and make it easier for you.
Peter, if I can interrupt, the whole point of this subcommittee is that the origins of it were to discuss this issue of banning jet skis on the lake or not. And what was behind that is basically, again, I think unsafe operation relative to overcrowding. And the intention is to, you know, hopefully make things easier for enforcement. If you didn't have 40 jet skis buzzing around like flies, then you have that much less static and much less of a circus that you have to be trying to observe all over the place. So that's really what's behind a certain amount of this whole initiative and this consequent need to have little subcommittees to analyze this before we then put it to a vote next month. Statement. Just again, the whole point being try to make it easier to do enforcement versus more difficult. I just see jet skis as having to make things more difficult. So.
Yeah, but, basically it's the volume of jet skis.
Yeah.
Both in terms of noise and I don't, that's a question I want to get to.
Operation
circle around, but the operation of the jet skis and the sheer volume of jet skis on Lake Quinsigamond and other lakes, and it's not, we're not the only lake that has an issue here. And I'm sure Scott Amati can speak to that, but Lake Quinsigamond definitely has an issue. And last year it was chaos on some days, especially here in the south end of it. I think with the initiatives with the jet ski, the smaller boat over here, and I think that's gonna be helpful. And I'm happy about that. I don't, Ben was not first thing on my list to do, but it got towards the end of the season and it was just seemed overwhelming. So the banning may not be off the table if we can't tamp it down with the new efforts that we have. I believe we probably can put a big dent in this, and that would be a good thing to do. And let's, my feeling is we go with what we have and see how it works out.
Peter, can I ask you one thing?
Sure.
So, Mr. Piker, I heard him mention voting next month. So is you or the board planning, the commission planning to put a ban up for a vote next month? Is that what he's saying? Is that still happening?
The original premise of the subcommittee was, the ban was in there to basically figure out what if we're going to ban or what we're going to do. I mean, the real premise of the subcommittee is to see what we're going to do to make the lakes safer. And when I say safer, it's not just safer for the residents, because that's an important thing. It's safer for anyone who uses the lake, as well as being safer for law enforcement, because it gets overwhelming for them to have to deal with all the elements that they have to deal with, and some of the characters that they have to deal with out there. So there's that too. But if we don't, we have to come to the Lake Commission meeting, and it doesn't have to be in February, but I think we may, because I don't want to waste everybody's time and start beating a dead horse. I think we have some good ideas to do here that we've talked about. And, I think from my mind, I'm ready to take these, these ideas and proposals and plans from law enforcement and go to the commission and say, we should give this a shot, and, make sure that this all works right, and do everything we can to make it easier. So if that means we have to raise funds to get different communication devices so you folks can do that, we will, we'll work to, in that direction. So that kind of thing. If we need to change rules or enhance rules or modify things, then we can, then we'll work on that. So we just want to we want everyone to understand that we're part of this, and that we want to, we're all part of this because of law enforcement's 2 votes on the Lake Commission. One thing I would like to include in further meetings, and I'm not putting anyone on the spot. I'm not putting on the spot, Captain Amati, but if you would consider attending Lake Commission meetings every once in a while, that would be helpful, because I think you're a big part of the team out there. So, and that's totally up to you. I mean, the Lake Commission's all volunteer anyway, but so you can come if you want to, and you don't have to if you don't. But
yeah, no, I'll keep everything open. That's ultimately up to my colonel. If he's okay with it, either myself or somebody else will be there. But you did mention one thing about what you folks can do for us.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I mentioned last week is, as an organization, going to the 2 courts involved, being Worcester and Westboro, and expressing to them how this stuff needs to be taken seriously. That is one of the larger issues that I have, amongst my folks, going out and doing their job, and then you see a bunch of stuff getting flushed in 2 seconds.
I've heard that from every law enforcement agency.
Yep.
So and I apologize, because I meant to put that on my list of things we need to do. So
I just want to clarify, Peter, you did not get that from Shrewsbury. I'm not familiar with the 6-month things getting dismissed. I want to say that on record.
And I'm not want to drag this out. I think the issue, and the only story I heard from on the Shrewsbury side, and this was years ago, Kevin, was that we'd asked the PD to go around and just check to make sure that there were stickers on the dock plates. And they came back with, I'm going to say, probably 60 or 70 people that didn't have. There was a bunch of them, and they brought it in to court.
Yeah.
And the judge dismissed it. And he goes, well, you can, you just make sure you pay next year. And at that point, it was before we had any funds other than the dock plates. So that was the money we used to treat weeds and, to do all the stuff. A lot of the people who were not paying their dock fees were south of the Stringer Dam because the law enforcement couldn't get in there and check them. So at this point, I want to qualify that I don't think law enforcement should be out there checking dock plates. I'd rather they weren't doing that because they got way better things to do than that. So I'm going to kind of take that off your plate and do that directly through the commission, that we will check to make sure that there's stickers on those docks. And if they're not, because we don't need to, I think with the new system, we can probably check that electronically. We don't even have to go out there and do it because we'll know if they bought one or they didn't. So, and we'll know what the address is and all that stuff. So we can basically go in there and say, either you pay up or you take your dock out. And while your dock is in there and it doesn't have a sticker, then you're going to get a fine. So I don't know why the judge did what he did, but he basically said, nope, you're not fining them, and everyone walks out. So these guys spent, I don't know, a couple of weeks doing this, and they went to court and they just got, yeah, sorry, So I can understand their frustration on that. But that's something I heard from Shrewsbury.
For the record, Peter, I'm just speaking for my department, nobody else.
Yep. So, but if you're experiencing it, I got to believe everyone else is. All right. I think for me, does anyone have anything else they want to put forward?
No,
Peter,
I just wanted to comment on that monthly stats to you folks. We could definitely handle that. We do that as we currently do that, so we can just forward that to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry, Matt. What you wanted to say something, Captain Early?
Yes, hi. I think Scott brought it up about maybe the three agencies will get together sometime maybe in March or early April, and we can come up with a plan, because I can't give you an overtime budget yet. That's way down the road. And like I've talked about earlier, we have approximately 50 neighborhood meetings we meet with on a continuing basis. So we're pulled in 50 different directions.
Sure.
So like Jay said, we'll have Chris Santley assigned to the boat all summer, and we'll see. We'll try to staff it as much as we can, along with coming up with a plan with Shrewsbury and the environmental police for Oak Island and the boating ramp, the boat ramp.
All right. Do you still have the I don't know what they call the horse unit, the mounted guys?
No, that got disbanded. Like every agency across the country, we're very short staffed, and we had to disband that to move those officers back to operations.
All right. That was fun. All right. I don't know if the horses could swim or not. That would have been helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. Anything else? Oh. If we're good, then yeah, I guess we'll cut short and go on with our night.
Did you want to have another meeting, or are we just gonna put together an update for the next LQC meeting at the end of the month?
Alyssa, and I don't know if anyone else has any different feelings on this. I think we're probably pretty good to move forward.
It sounds good. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
Peter, I just want to confirm something. Are we voting to ban jet skis on the lake? I just want to be clear before we end this meeting.
Well, that was what prompted this whole thing.
To prompt the whole thing. Okay, not to sound like the House of Representatives, but I'm not sure. Here's my feeling on this. I can have a vote to ban jet skis on Lake Quinsigamond. I can tell you right now that I know at least one vote is lost to do that, and that's mine. So I think based on what you guys have presented to us right here and what we've talked about, if we can make this work, I'm willing to say, all right, let's give it a go. But that doesn't stop this. That doesn't mean that, come June or July and it gets crazy, and there's big safety issues, and hopefully nothing bad, nothing crazy happens. But even with the best of law enforcement, where we tamp this down, that could still happen. So it depends on the circumstances. But if it starts to get out of hand, then we revisit it. That would be my recommendation to the commission right now. Does that answer your question, Kevin?
That does, yes.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I could either say, we'll hold off taking a vote on this relative to subcommittee meetings and reassurance of better enforcement, but revisit it if need be. And I guess I could say in that respect, I'm willing to suspend any vote on that at this time. And I could do that. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me unless and I don't think anybody's going to, on the commission, step forward and say, oh, no, I think we should vote on this. Well, I don't think that'll happen.
Well, if someone comes up with a motion and it gets seconded, then we'll vote. But I don't think it'll go. I don't think it'll pass. So,
Hey, Peter,
Yep.
just so you know, I'm glad the chief asked, because that's what I was kind of asking earlier. But I looked up the actual rules that were created in 1916 because I was curious, and I actually have the paper, the original paper text. And it's interesting because the text does state that the commissioners under the authority may act, and it says if they want to establish reasonable rules and regulations for the protection. And just my opinion is, until we have catastrophic things happening on the lake, I know it's been tough, but we haven't thankfully had deaths and maiming and terrible things. I think reasonable would be to move forward with what we're doing, and not, I think unreasonable is just a board banning to ban jet skis on the lake, and that's the end of that. That doesn't seem reasonable as the committee member.
My proposal, Steve, if I can interrupt, was to do it for a year and then have another public hearing in terms of how people felt about it. So I think if you look back at the commission, you'll note that that's what I was looking at for back then. That is, and again, what prompted it is the problems we were having and the difficulty in terms of enforcing it, and my concern that Lake Quinsigamond was being too much of a testing ground for bad behavior in terms of the operation of. So,
right, and the other thing I want to say that, at least in my mind, I'm not inclined to wait till there's a disaster.
There was a jet ski fatality about 3 to 5 years ago, by the way, where a jet ski, I think, pushed somebody up against a dock and they drowned and died.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that an actual lake resident?
It doesn't matter.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that doesn't play to your case for it. But
outside of the point of what you're saying is why we're doing this extra policing. It's so
right. But what I'm trying to say is that if it gets to a point where it's overwhelming and we cannot reasonably control it, which is what happened last 3 seasons, then I believe that would be a reasonable use of our authority. So, again, I'm not waiting for the weeds to overtake the lake before we do something.
That's already happened, Peter.
Well, not as bad as it could be if we didn't treat. And
I couldn't move off my dock last year. I couldn't even swim. I would have died. So we'll see how this goes.
But again, we're constricted by some rules where we can treat, and unfortunately, your house is close to the border where we can put any chemicals in the water.
And I'm about 100 yards from where the feces pumps out, so that didn't help either.
No, yeah, that's our raw nutrients. So anyway, but that not to go down a rabbit hole, but from my feeling of it would be reasonable to tamp it down if we needed to do that temporarily at the very least. Same as if I called a no wake zone, because that's basically, we have to keep the lake safe. So that's where we are.
Well, right. And no wake zone for a week is different than a whole year of people's lives. There aren't that many, Peter. And, you know,
No, there's
it's
not
a
that
little-
many. I don't even know what the number of jet ski residents that have jet skis on the lake, because that's something that I'm going to find out and take into consideration. But again,
I mean, not that many years of life. Never mind, you know,
yeah,
jet
it's
skis.
still an idea, and I appreciate your advocating for jet skis, because again, right now we're not to answer your question. I think this is what where you were headed with this. Right now, we're not thinking of at least in my mind. I want to play out the other solutions before we go to a ban. That said, I strongly feel that we do have that authority to do it, and I strongly feel that depending on the
I don't think you need
situation,
to go there.
it would be reasonable.
Yeah.
So that's
So that's yeah. Well, and I'm sure that would be argued probably by some, but that, if it comes to that, I hope it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Good. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, Peter, just one last comment. I'm with you on that. I like what I'm hearing about the extra resources. I think we should put ourselves in a position where we can pivot. If this isn't working, you know, then we revisit a temporary safety ban, you know, and
Right.
maybe we put it on the state that jet skis will be welcome back when the mandatory boater's license passes, something like that. You know, they always go that route, but let's put ourselves in a position where we can pivot, either see if this works or it doesn't.
Okay. And this is a message that, you know, that the message for you to give to all your friends, the 6 degrees of separation, is to, find out who your state rep is and your state senator, and call them up and advocate to have the new legislation for a boating license, a boating certificate passed. I think it's HR 3362. So spread it around and get that out there, because that, we need to have that move forward. All right.
And
Anybody
the
else?
next LQC meeting will be Wednesday, the 28th, 7 p.m. in person over at the police station.
Yes.
But Scott, if you want me to turn on the web chat, I can do so. We can run it both.
Scott, Captain Amati, Scott?
Yeah, Captain
Okay.
Mahdi, sorry. If you want me to make it, if you want me to turn this on, I can do so. I can get you that information.
Would that be helpful for you?
Okay, give the thumbs
Yep.
up.
All right, cool. Good. Thank you, Alyssa.
Yep.
You're the best.
And if that's it, we can call the meeting, 7:43?
That sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Have,
Thank you.
have a good one.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I get my broken glasses on here. Okay, Alyssa, I'm done. Are you good? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm just letting everything end.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.